Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Ahmed Susi here, the Civil Rights Director of CAIR Arizona, and welcome to another Know Your Rights presentation. I'm definitely excited about this presentation, mostly because of the attorney who volunteered today, and that's Brother Zayed Al-Sayed of the Law Office of Zayed Al-Sayed. And Zayed is definitely a CAIR veteran. I actually remember when I was an intern for CAIR Arizona, I actually got to be a part of a case where Zayed and the previous attorney, Laban Youssef, worked on helping Palestinians, asylees here in Arizona. So Zayed has been a long member of the Arizona Muslim community and a resource for all of us. So I'm definitely excited he had some time today. And our actual Know Your Rights presentation will be about personal injury law. However, Zayed practices criminal defense as well as immigration. So all the information will be there at the end and in this presentation. But before we go too far, Zayed, how are you doing today?
Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to see CAIR. Alhamdulillah, it's awesome that I had the opportunity to be involved as the lawyer, but even, I still remember when I was an undergrad, I interned with CAIR. I was helping with CAIR's books, and this was like just some accounting stuff. And we're talking like, this is in 2000 and maybe 2008, wow. Yeah. And this is when CAIR's board would dream of having a lawyer. So mashallah, alhamdulillah, I've been here in Arizona practically my whole life. So to see that CAIR Arizona, they had Liban, now they have you, mashallah, it is just amazing to see where CAIR is now. And I'm so proud of CAIR Arizona on a lot of the stuff you guys are doing right now, man. So keep up the great work, mashallah.
Definitely, thank you so much. They definitely didn't let me touch the books in my internship, so I'll have to see if they'll let me touch it now. But well, I'm excited.
Remember, my undergrad was in accounting. That's why. That's the only reason they let me mess with the books.
I would need a calculator. I need a lot of other stuff. But I'm thankful today because personal injury law is something that I think most people, when they think about an attorney, it's that type of incident. You definitely see personal injury all over in billboards, but personal injury is, an expansive field, and it's not just simply, a car accident. There's so many other things involved. So I'm definitely excited to hear from someone who does this practice and practices it, especially here. So.
Well, awesome. Yes. So personal injury, it's vast. It's crazy. There's so much going on with it. So why don't we, let me share my screen if that's okay, and then definitely. I can get my PowerPoint on there.
Sounds awesome. Good. Perfect. Okay.
All right. So Ahmed, you gave me a great intro, so I appreciate that. I'm Zayed Al-Sayed. I've been an attorney for 8 years. Actually, my 8th year anniversary was 3 days ago.
Congratulations, Mabruk.
Thank you. Allah barik feek. That's when I got sworn into the Arizona Supreme Court before the justices. And then from there, I immediately took my incorporation paperwork down to the Corporation Commission, which is like a couple blocks away. And I decided to start the firm, alhamdulillah. So that's where we're at now, 8 years later, alhamdulillah. We're here in my office, 19th Avenue in Camelback. We just recently moved. We have 8 employees here with us, and alhamdulillah, we're trying to do our best to help the people, help the community in whatever we can. So the areas of practice that I limit myself to are personal injury, criminal defense, and immigration. With immigration, most of my practice is actually removal defense, so deportation defense essentially. But today we're talking about personal injury, which is about 50% of my practice. So personal injury, it is, a lot of people are wondering, what's personal injury? And what I want to talk about today is personal injury and insurance law. Because personal injury, I can keep going on and on and on about the legal stuff. And, Ahmed, you remember, that tort handbook that was the tort law. And there's so many different types of stuff that really some people will never see in their lifetime. And we're going to talk about the most common personal injury actions that arise just on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of you probably already know this. I mean, you see the billboards when you're driving on the I-17 and the I-10 on the 202. It's a huge industry. In a wreck, need a check. You know who to call. We all know, right? We all know the jingle, right? But if you want to get paid, call Zayed. That's what I say. So, what is a personal injury? A personal injury is some type of it's an act or an omission that gives rise to an injury or a harm to another person. And this is a civil wrong. So we have two kinds of aspects of law, and people confuse them from time to time. They confuse the tort law, which is civil law, and then criminal law. So obviously criminal law has a higher burden of proof. That's when the police are involved. That's when you're prosecuted for a violation of the law. However, we can have things called torts, and that's a civil wrong. A civil wrong is, for example, the most common one that we all are aware of, that we all know about, is a car accident. And just to give you kind of an example of some torts, the type of torts that we have are intentional torts, economic torts, and one that's its own category, negligence. And personal injury lawyers, a lot of our focus is on negligence. So intentional torts, some example, essentially it's a civil wrong arising from an intentional act. So if I were to hit Ahmed has the right to call the police. He'll get the police involved. The police are going to come investigate and probably file charges, take me in and file charges against me for assault. That's criminal. That is what, the consequences that I face for my criminal conduct with the state of Arizona or the city, whoever's prosecuting me. And I'll probably end up on probation, maybe do some jail time, whatever it is. But I hit him so bad that he had injuries. He had medical expenses. He had pain and suffering. He can now sue me in the civil court for his damages from my intentional conduct. Those damages, there's different types of damages, but the majority or the typical damages we see are medical bills, pain and suffering. What if, God forbid, there's a disability? What if, he was hurt so bad that he had a disfigurement to his face. And even after reconstructive surgery, whatever, it's never going to be the same. Or he went punched so much that his eye, he can't see anymore. He's blind now. It's a permanent disability. So this is what happens. This is where the courts are awarding damages, money damages. Essentially, in tort law, when you sue someone, you're seeking money damages. Economic torts are civil wrongs arising out of a business transaction. That's such as fraud, tortious interference. So for example, if Ahmed's going around, Ahmed, sorry, I'm using you as an example, man.
It's okay, it's all right.
I apologize.
It's all right. No problem at all.
To all of the viewers, he's an amazing person. Well, I love this man for the sake of Allah, I do. So, but I'm going to use him as an example. So if he's going around and he's telling people, don't go to the law office of Zayed, they do shoddy work, they're horrible. He's interfering in my possibility of getting new clients. He's interfering in my business. That's tortuous interference. So what happens is I get to sue him and I get to prove up in the courts what he did and prove up the damages, the amount of business I'm losing because of him bad-mouthing me. That's just an example of an economic tort. There are lawyers who specialize in that kind of stuff. Negligence is the tort that I'm going to be talking about today. A lot about that. Why? Because this is the 95% of your civil lawsuits. Negligence. Car accidents. Slip and falls. You're at Walmart. You slip on water. You're at Costco. You slip on a strawberry that was on the floor and they didn't pick up. Medical malpractice. We see that a lot. A doctor messes up and people sue doctors or hospitals. That it's all based on this concept of negligence. And what's negligence? Negligence is the failure to exercise the care that a reasonable and prudent person would exercise in like circumstances. Well, that's all a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. I'm going to break it down to you and really make it make more sense for you, inshallah. Negligence. I'm taking Ahmed back here now to law school. I'm taking everybody.
I was going to say.
Law school. We learned this on day one. what are the four elements of negligence? What do you have to prove in a negligence case? Well, and I'm going to be honest with you, in practice, and as I go on in my presentation, you're going to see that really, like, some of these elements, duty of care, breach of duty of care, they're so simple. We don't even talk about them anymore in our cases. But I'm taking you all back to the basics first, just so you understand what negligence is. Duty of care, you have to prove that the person that you are suing had an obligation imposed on them that required them to adhere to a certain standard. So, drivers, when we are driving a vehicle, what is our duty of care? We all owe others a duty of care when we're driving on the road. What is that duty? That duty is to exercise reasonable care while operating our vehicle. That's it. We have a duty to be aware of our surroundings. We have a duty to be paying attention to traffic. We have a duty to control the speed of our vehicle. We have a duty to watch out for traffic lights. We have a duty to not break traffic laws, etc., etc. These are all duties. And you don't know that. People don't think about this all the time, but it's just common sense. I have a duty to look and make sure that I'm stopping at a red light. Because if I don't stop at the red light, second element now, look at the second element. I breached my duty. I have a duty to stop at that red light. I breached my duty. Boom. I hit somebody who was lawfully in that intersection because on the other side, they had a green light. I now, causation, third element, caused them. And then element number four, damages. Simple. It's really not that complicated. It took me like forever to understand the concept as my
I'm with you. I'm with you on
back
that
in law
one.
school. I didn't understand any of this. Then I became a lawyer and I'm like, is that what they said? It's that simple? And you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about, remember the train? The thing about the train, Pelgrast or Pelgrim or whatever that case was in the 1800s they were talking about?
Yep. The law school finds a way to make it much harder. That's why they charge so much.
It's very complicated. And then you get into the real world and it's like, oh, that's it. That's what it is. So I'll give you an example of a rear end accident. All right. You're stopped at a light. You're completely stopped at a red light, minding your own business, waiting for the light to turn green. All of a sudden, the person behind you, boom, hits you. Whatever the reason is, it's an accident. We get it. It was not intentional. Nobody wants to hit you with their car. It was an accident. Whether they were they were messing with the radio, they were looking at their phone, they were looking back at their passenger, whatever it is, they had a duty of care to monitor traffic. They had a duty of care to control the speed of their vehicle. They breached that duty and they rear-ended you. That is the most common type of car accident we know of. And everybody knows this in Arizona. Oh, if you rear end somebody, you're at fault. Everybody knows that. And 99% of the time it is you are at fault. There's always that 1% because in the legal world, we can't speak in the absolutes. Everything depends, circumstances, facts. You can argue anything in a court of law. So causation, I'll briefly talk about causation real quick. Causation, you have to prove two things, that there was that factual causation and legal causation. And legal cause, another word for legal causation is proximate cause. Forget the legal mumbo jumbo. I'm going to get into kind of the what it really means. The factual cause is, did this breach of the duty, me rear-ending you with my car, did it cause the damages that you are claiming it caused? And then legal causation, was the damages remote? Was it foreseeable? So I rear-end you, you say, my neck hurts. I now have to go and get some physical therapy for my neck. Is that foreseeable? Yes, it's foreseeable. Is it foreseeable that someone gets into a car accident, breaks their arm? Yeah, it's foreseeable. So that essentially is what factual and legal causation is. But to give you an example of where legal causation may come into play, and we can argue it in court, is, let's say you're driving, someone pulls in front of you, you avoid them, you swerve, all right? You don't hit anybody, no car accident, all right? They came in front of you, it was their fault, but you avoided it, alhamdulillah, no car accident. But now you're huffing and puffing. You're stressed out. You're panicking. 3, 4 miles later, you black out and you run into a wall. Can you go after the person who swerved in front of you? There's an argument that, man, we would not foresee that 3 or 4 miles later, your panic attack would cause you to run into a wall. So I'm just giving you like a crazy example, but these things are very rare that we argue. It's really one of the biggest arguments we argue in causation is, did this car accident cause your injury? And really it's sometimes the other side will make arguments saying something like, well, that was a pre-existing condition. You already had that. You had those migraines before the car accident. You had that broken arm before the car accident. You had that herniated or disc bulge before the accident. This accident didn't cause it. So that's just an example of that. All right, damages. So on this slide, I was talking about damages. See next slide. Damages, money. That's what we're doing here. Money damages. What does damages consist of? What are we arguing? Why? Okay, I got in a rear end accident. Why don't they just pay me a certain amount of money? No. Damages are what come into play. This is where a lawyer comes into play and can argue how much damages you get. I'm going to give you 2 crazy scenarios here on damages. Forget what's on the screen right now. Forget that's what damages are pursuant to Arizona law. Think about this. Car accident happens. A lawyer gets injured, shatters his wrist. All right? Same set of facts, same accident, but a neurosurgeon shatters his wrist. Whose damages are going to be more, the lawyer or the neurosurgeon? Trust me, neurosurgeon all day. Lawyer, look, we can wear a headset and do that dictation stuff. I mean, we can maybe type, we can hire someone to type for us, right? We don't yeah, we need our hands, but a neurosurgeon, if you even have a slight little shake in your slight arthritis, you're done. You are not going to be operating on people's brains, on people's spines, just a slight little shake. So imagine if you have traumatic nerve damage to your wrist because it was a shattered wrist, you're done. So now you're disabled for life. You can't work. All right. So this is just a crazy example I give people sometimes because, you know, it's an injury. 2 people can have the same exact injury, but their damages are completely different based on their life. All right. So this is the revised Arizona jury instruction. This is what we base our damages off of. This is where we base our arguments off of on how to value a personal injury case. This is what a jury, when we're in court trying to prove the value of our case, this is what the jury is looking at in front of them, and they're putting dollar figures on this. And I've broken it down here on this page. It's the same exact wording, but I put it onto the PowerPoint. The nature, extent, and duration of the injury. So the nature and the extent and the duration. Nature. Someone who has a broken bone is going to be paid a lot more, or their damages are going to be valued more than a person who had muscle pain. You know, muscle pain, just some tightness, some stiffness. All right. Number 2, the pain, the discomfort, the suffering, the disability, the disfigurement, the anxiety experienced. So there's money on that. That's your pain and suffering. You know, I suffered so much. This is how it affected my life. Everybody's life is different. All right. Some people can get by. They have a very high tolerance for pain. Pain doesn't really affect them. Yeah, it's just annoying. To some people, they're completely disabled. I mean, we all know some people who just cannot handle pain and they're in slight pain and forget it. They're on the floor or they're in bed. They can't, their day is done. It just depends. Everyone's different. Number 3, the reasonable expenses for medical care. So your medical bills, what are those? And your future medical bills. So what if you need a surgery and you're not ready for it? Or I had a case once where a woman had a torn meniscus. She had to get a meniscus repair. So when they go in, what they do to repair the meniscus is they they have to actually remove part of your meniscus and then attach it back. What happens is later on in the future, you're going to have arthritis. Later on in the future, you may or may not need knee replacement. My client's meniscus was so torn that they had to actually take out 80% of her meniscus. That's a lot of meniscus, a lot of meniscus. So as a woman who's in her upper 30s, she still wasn't 40, doctor said that by the time she's 50 years old, she's going to need a total knee replacement. Well, we're not going to wait to settle the case or resolve the case until she's 50 years old in another 10, 15 years. No. So that's where reasonable probable to be incurred in the future, the medical expenses in the future. That's what that is. All right. Number 4, lost earnings. Wage loss. You're injured, couldn't work. That's what comes into play. Also, your earning power or your earning capacity in the future. That's the example I gave of the neurosurgeon. Shattered, done. His earning capacity is gone, is down now. He can no longer work as a neurosurgeon. He can probably now work as I don't know what he's going to work as, but something that's not making $1 million a year anymore. No way. He's not cutting. He will not be doing surgeries. Number 5, the loss of love, care, and affection. That's the companionship. That's the relationship. If your injuries are so bad that you can no longer be the parent that you were, be the spouse that you were. And then number 6, the loss of enjoyment of life. All right. So for example, if you're a very active person, you do triathlons, all right, you're Ironman training, and you end up breaking your leg. And for the next 6 months, you're sitting in a chair. You can't do that anymore. Trust me, you're going to go crazy if you can't run. And that's where that comes into play. So how does that affect your life? These are all things that we look at, and that's where we come up with numbers. And then, where do we, well, how do we put a dollar figure on that? Is that just from thin air? No, it's based off of your past jury verdicts. We look at, what cases are settling for right now. You look at your jurisdiction. If you're in California and you have a car accident, you're going to get a lot more money than you do here in Maricopa County, because in California, they're very liberal. Money, take it, go ahead. We feel bad for you. Here in Maricopa County, they're a little more conservative. Like, hey, we understand, but we're not going to give you as much money. And then you have a car accident like in a place like Yavapai County, or like Yavapai County, or what's another one? Coconino County. Okay, Flagstaff, Prescott. They're very, very conservative. The more conservative, the less money they want to give you. It's just how it works. All right. Let's talk about comparative negligence. So, Ahmed, do you think this is all making sense up to now?
It is, but I'll tell you what, comparative negligence, it brought me back towards class. So yeah, definitely, I wish you were my professor.
I wish my professor explained this stuff to me as well this way, man. But with experience, you just start learning this stuff, right? Comparative negligence. Here in Arizona, we are a comparative negligence state, which is a good thing, because there are contributory negligence states. Pure contributory negligence states means if you are even 1% at fault for your accident. So if they can prove even 1% fault that you contributed to your negligence, you get nothing. Here in Arizona, we don't have that. Here in Arizona, all right, I'm going to give the example. Rear end accident, we know. Straight, someone hits you, 100% their fault. But what if it's an accident where, you're at a light, someone's turning left, you're going straight? Could you have avoided them? Could you have not? Maybe you were going a little too fast. Maybe you were, going a little too slow. The other side is going to argue that there should be some fault on you because you had a duty and you breached the duty. The nice thing here about Arizona is if you are found to be partially at fault for your accident, the damages you get are only reduced by your portion of fault. So, example, your case is worth $100. You are found to be 30% at fault. You will only get $70. Versus if you are 0% at fault and the other person is 100% at fault, you would get all $100. So in my example of 30%, You are 30% at fault. The other person is 70% at fault. You only get 70% of your damages, which is $70. This is where what I have here on the slide, 100% versus 90-10, 50-50, 60-40. We've all heard this. Oh, the insurance company is saying 50-50 fault. 50-50 fault means they're only going to pay for 50% of the damage because they believe you caused 50% of the accident. You contributed to the negligence, comparatively at fault. That's what that is. And we see it all the time. And I'm going to give you some examples. All right, crash diagrams. These are what we get in accident reports. So car accident happens, police show up, police are going to take down everybody's information, make, model of the vehicle. They're going to take witness statements. And yes, sometimes it's he said, she said. Sometimes it is, I said that this is how it happened. And then the other person said, that's how it happened. You know, I said I had a green light. The other person said, no, I had a green light. That happens. That does happen, yes. And the police cannot determine who's at fault because rarely do they have cameras on those intersections. A lot of people say, well, there's a camera. Go look at the intersection. There's a camera right on top. You are correct. There are cameras. But the majority of those cameras are actually for live surveillance. That's all. They're just for traffic flow. They're looking at them over at the Arizona Department of Transportation just to see traffic flow. That is it. It is very, very, very rare that those cameras are actually recording. When do police? Actually, there are instances when police do go to surrounding businesses and actually try to see if a surrounding business might have footage of an accident. But the only time they will do that is if there are serious injuries or death. So don't expect the police in a car accident where, yeah, you broke something or, yeah, your neck or back hurt. Don't expect the police to go and try to look for surveillance footage. It's not going to happen. It's going to be your word, their word. They're going to write the report. They might not allocate fault. I'm going to give you this example here of a car accident. I represent the driver of vehicle number 2. Let me see. Can I annotate on this? I believe I can. Can you see my mouse?
I see your mouse, yes.
Perfect. Okay, great. I represent the driver of car number 2. Car number 2 is driving northbound on Alma School. Car number 1 is here facing southbound in the left turn lane, so they're facing southbound on Alma School, intending to turn eastbound onto Germain Road. Okay, so Germain Road, it's this right here is Alma School. What happens is my client, car number 2, and the driver of car number 1 both said the same story. Story is car number 1 wants to make the turn. The light turns yellow. So she wants to make the turn. My client says light turns yellow. My client admits that he decided to speed up to make the light. He sped up. He sped up pretty fast. So she thought that he was actually going to stop, and she started to proceed to turn. My client decides to speed up. No, I'm going to make it. And then what happens is he speeds up. She's in an intersection. A collision ensued here. Her car flips over. She hits these innocent bystanders who are just parked waiting for their light, cars number 3 and 4. So from this scenario, we all know car 3 and 4, they're just innocent bystanders. They're stopped. They were not moving. They have no fault whatsoever. I allege that fault is on the left turner because the person who turns a left cannot execute their left turn until the roadway is clear. So that was my allegation, 100% that's fault. However, the insurance company for car number 1 said, no, we're going to allocate 50% on your insured, your client, my client, car number 2, because your client saw that it was a yellow light, had time to stop at the yellow light, stop by the time it became a red light. Your client sped up. So they now broke the law, all right, by speeding to enter the intersection. So the case is actually currently ongoing. So that's where we're at. That's one instance where you see comparative negligence, where I'm saying, hey, and by the way, this one, car number 1, she's the one who got the ticket. She got a ticket for executing a left turn without making sure the roadway is clear. That's a clear violation. So she got the ticket, but the insurance company or the other side is arguing that my client is 50% comparative at fault. So just because somebody gets a ticket doesn't mean they're 100%, the other person is 100% at fault. It does not. You can make an argument. Now, this argument, it's not the silliest argument I've heard from an insurance company. Do I disagree with it? Of course I disagree with it. I represent car number 2. I disagree with it. But let me tell you about a very silly one. Let me tell you how silly they can be. Here's this one right here. This right here is College Avenue. My client is traveling eastbound in the curb lane on College Avenue. Okay? This is not a light. This is not an intersection. Here, this is an entrance into a private shopping center. Okay? I don't know what. I think here there's like a Walmart or something. Okay? So my client's driving, minding his own business. This person, car number 1, decides, I'm going to make my left turn and turn into the Walmart. Well, what do? They turn and hit my client. Like, did you not see my client driving? Hello, what were you doing? Clearly, you would, and by the way, car number 1 got the ticket. You would think my client, car number 2, has the right of way, driving, minding his own business, driving speed limit, by the way. No one's alleging that he was speeding. What do you think, Ahmed? 100% at fault, right? Car number 1?
Well, from the story, I'm going to say it should be, but no.
Get this. They're saying they'll take 90% fault. They're going to put 10% on my client because my client could have hit his brake or could have taken an evasive maneuver to avoid the accident. I'm like, where do you want him to go? You want him to go on the curb and hit a pedestrian? You want to hit the brake? What brake? Brake and what? You hit him.
They thought the car had hydraulics, told it to jump over. That's what they should have said.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's American Family for you. If you have American Family Insurance. But yeah. So I'm like, so what the moral of this story is, there are times where I sit with a client right after a car accident, they tell me what happened, and I straight up tell them, I'm like, look, I think in this situation, they're going to allege some fault on you. And honestly, I see some fault on you, but let's do our best. Let's try to put the majority of fault on them. But then there's accidents where I'm talking to a man like this, who I represent, and I'm like, yeah, don't worry, man. There's going to be 100% fault on them. And then these guys call and say, oh, we're just going to put 10%. I'm like, you guys are really going to make me fight? Because now it becomes, is it worth it to file a lawsuit on 10%? Probably not. But it's also the principle of the matter. Who are you to allege 10%? Like, that's petty. Y'all getting petty now. And I don't like pettiness. And I am petty. So I will file a lawsuit and I will go there. Don't try to put fault on my clients.
I'll tell you what, it's not petty. I mean, I think you're doing your job of protecting your client, right? The insurance, their whole thing is we want to pay the least amount of money we can, right? That's their job, and they're going to do that as best as they can. And we, in our legal system, we have people like you who say, well, I'm going to make sure my client is going to get recovered the best as possible. And that one of the things I think people, obviously, when you see all the billboards and some colorful characters, you start thinking some way about personal injury attorneys. But one of the things that you said at the beginning is so true. These injuries last sometimes lifetimes, right? And we're talking about, as you said, like a neurosurgeon. He can't perform that career at all, but that's, someone with money. But if you're talking about someone who might not have that much resources and gets paralyzed, they don't have, a trust fund or something to rely back on. So your job is, hey, this person, committed a tort against you. We're going to make sure in the best way possible that you could live the rest of your life in a way that didn't happen. So some people might call it petty. I just say, you're fighting for your client's rights. And I'll tell you what, when I was a law clerk in Louisiana, there are a lot of car accidents, there are a lot of 18-wheeler type stuff. And you just see these, no insurance attorneys, you've got to do your job, no ripe on them. But sometimes it's kind of the thing, like you said, they should have not, avoided this car. It's just like, come on, man, let's what are we doing here?
They do that all the time. They do it all the time. You have to understand something, is that if these insurance companies were to shave off 10% from every value of every case, okay, and they were to repeatedly do it over the course of, 10 years, they are saving hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a huge industry. And for them to shave off $100 off of this case, $100 off of that case, $100 off of this case, and keep in mind, all right, the cases are being settled or they're being sued or whatever's happening on cases on a daily basis and on a national level. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So these insurance companies, if they can save $100 on every single case, it goes a long ways, and it has a very huge cumulative effect here. So for me, you're right. I mean, yes, some may call it petty. For me, it's like, no, if my client didn't do anything wrong, why should we accept that they're wrong? If you guys want to say 10%, then you know what? Let's go to court and you prove, because they have to prove that 10%. Prove the 10%. Let a jury, let a judge say that they're 10% at fault. And then at that point, I am a believer in the legal system. You have met your burden. But without that, fly a kite. It ain't happening.
Well, they're hoping that 10% helps them get the Patrick Mahomes commercials. That's how they get the big time actors. It's those 10%.
Well, you got to keep this in mind. And I don't want to speak about anybody, but there are law firms that they work on they work in the masses. They like to turn and burn, get them in, get them out, quantity, all right, versus quality. A lot of these quantity law firms, it's like, hey, get the case in, get it out, get whatever settlement, and move on. The more we do, the more revenue we bring in. When you go to a smaller firm, someone like me, someone like my colleagues, okay, it's not just me, but someone like my colleagues who do this kind of work, it's not about the turn and burn. It's about, hey, is this adequate damages for my client? Is this justice for my client? It's not about, hey, let's move on to the next case. This is their case. This is John Doe, Muhammad, whoever it is. This is his or her case, and this matters to them. So I will have another case tomorrow, but today it's their case. That's what matters.
Definitely. And I that's one of the reasons why, in our Know Your Rights presentations, we bring attorneys who actually care and, the same sort of care principles of defend, educate, and empower. It's not about, like you said, this person can bring this amount of money. It's, are we getting justice for our clients? So definitely, even though, the insurance wants to say this car should have jumped over, it's that justice that we care about.
Exactly, 100%. Now, if you remember, we were talking about causation. Causation is, I mean, you can have a car accident, but then then you have to also prove that that accident caused the injury that you're claiming. All right. So this is a real world example. One of my cases. This is a car accident. My client was stopped and he was rear-ended by another SUV. This is his car after the accident. Ahmed, you see any damages?
I was going to say, I'm trying, but I don't. I'm not that good at Where's Waldo and I Spy, so.
All right, where'd my mouse go here?
Okay. I see at the, can I even see maybe a little paint too?
You see a little bit of some scratches here, right? So the cars did touch. Yeah. All right. A little bit of scratches and stuff. Are you a car guy, Ahmed?
No.
No? All good? Do you know how much it costs to fix something like this? I mean, it doesn't even look dented. It's just the bumper. You got to paint it. About $500. Not much.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a wash at first. I thought it was just dust.
Probably is. I don't know. Now, insurance company, my client described the accident to me that it was very, very forceful. It pushed him, and he felt a huge jump, and he just like forceful, like just a lot of forward force. Complained immediately of lower back pain. Worked it up. Got all the way to a neurosurgeon. A neurosurgeon said that he needed low back surgery as a result of this accident.
Wow.
Car insurance company said, what? That's a little touch. How can a touch cause that? That's impossible, right? Do I agree with them? Yeah, if it was just that injury, if it was just that damage and it was just paint touching, yeah, I'd probably agree with them too. Like, because they make that defense all the time. That if you have an accident that happens at just, small little touch,
Mhm.
3 miles an hour, they go and hire a biomechanical engineer who will say that the forces of that accident are equivalent to that of you plopping in your chair. The
Mhm.
forces are equivalent to that of you being in a bumper car bump, like at the amusement park. All right. And then no way could those forces have caused an injury. I had one biomechanical engineer say that my client's car accident forces were less than that of a sneeze.
Wow.
I won the case. That one was okay. Anyways, I was able to discredit him. But let me tell you about this one. Here's what we did with this case. I ended up getting an expert to look at the damage of this case because my client, we saw that the damage, I needed to prove what my client was telling me, that it was a very forceful hit. I needed to prove that this accident could have caused my client's herniated disc to the point that he needed back surgery. We examined the vehicle and we see that the majority of the impact was to the hitch receiver.
Mhm.
That is a piece of metal that is attached to the frame of the car. We get our expert. Our expert goes and puts the car on a jack, lifts it up, takes pictures of where that hitch receiver is connected to the frame. These bolts are supposed to be on super, super tight. You know that. I mean, anybody who knows anything about a vehicle, I mean, those are supposed to be super tight. They're not supposed to move, right? It's supposed to,
Yeah.
you're supposed to attach a bolt to it, a bolt or
Yeah.
like a big trailer with 10,000 pounds. Do you see here how there was a shift?
Yeah. Yeah. The whole, and the washer, the bolt and the washer.
That shift right there,
Wow.
that shift right there proved my case and made it into a 6-figure case, and they paid for the surgery.
Mashallah, mashallah. Wow. Wow.
It was that
Best
little
example
shift to
right
prove.
there. Yeah.
That's how we proved causation, that the accident, the hit was forceful, that the hit caused the injury that we are claiming it caused. But it took a lot of homework. It took a lot of work, because if you look at it, you're like, if you just looked at that bumper, you're like, where? How? You guys are all full of it. Y'all a bunch of ambulance chasers. You guys are just in it for the money. No, it really did happen. Look here. The shift did happen. In order to shift something like this, I mean, the forces to shift a washer and a bolt like this on metal to metal on a car that's been bolted like that for the last 5 years, that takes a lot of force, a lot of physical force. So that's my prime example of causation. All right. Now that we've talked about personal injury, we've talked about negligence, let's talk about some real world stuff. This is a Know Your Rights presentation. Let's talk about what you should do, knowing your rights. All right. So, any questions? Ahmed, any questions you think our viewers would have that I may have missed in the previous stuff about just how we prove negligence, damages, where we come up with our numbers? I don't know, just the basics of a car accident. You think anybody would think of any questions? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, other than that, I think that was a great explanation of the law. But I think what we're going to get to next is when people are in a car accident, it's so much of that like trauma of just like in the moment, and it's all fast paced, and it's hard for people to kind of slow down and be like, I need to take the steps to, make sure whatever I need to do is corrected. So I like the question that's set up right here. What's to do in the event in an actual car accident? Because I'm assuming that, like the example you just gave, that person who has now the back injury, correct me if I'm wrong, but he probably, when he looked at his car, or the other person looked at the car, probably was like, oh, sorry, I actually touched you. But it sounds like that person was in a lot of pain. So
he was in a lot of pain. But the thing is also, there are people, Ahmed, we see it a lot, where a day goes by, 2 days go by, and they don't exhibit any symptoms. Mm-hmm. Some people, 2 hours, no symptoms, and then they get a symptom. So I'll give you a prime example. Me, myself, I had a car accident in February of 2017.
Oh, wow.
Green light. I'm entering the intersection. 17-year-old girl. She's on her way to high school. I don't know if she was playing with her phone. I don't know what she was doing. Uh-huh. She didn't see the light, whatever it was. T-boned me. I mean, By the time I saw because she had a white car, all I saw was something white, and then
Man,
boom, done. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I actually was able to, all my airbags came out. My car did a little
alhamdulillah.
spinny thing, hit the curb, didn't hit any other cars. But alhamdulillah, I was able to get out of my car. I actually went and checked up on her. But, you know, at that moment, I don't like to use the word expert, but I've done a lot of car accident cases for clients. But even me,
Yeah,
myself, I had to kind of stop, take the panic away, and remember the basics. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, because I'm
exactly.
in the moment, adrenaline
Yeah.
rushing, and sometimes you forget what to do. And talking about the injury, what's crazy is paramedics come, they check on everybody. I'm like, I'm fine, don't worry. Half an hour into, paramedics are checking on the girl that hit me. We're talking to the police. All of a sudden, I grab onto the officer and I'm like, I have to sit down. And all of a sudden, I'm getting lightheaded. And he's like, are you okay? And I just sit on the curb. I'm like, okay, I feel this now.
Hmm.
So, yeah, injuries happen. I mean, it may not be sudden onset, but it can happen 30 minutes later, an hour later, 2 days later. I've seen it all. A week later. Everyone is different. Every person is different. So let's talk about what to do in a car accident. All right. Remember these points. This is not for the sake of your case. This is for the sake of ensuring that your rights are not trampled on, but also keeping in mind safety first. You need to make sure that you are okay. You need to make sure that your passengers are okay. You need to make sure that you are in a safe location. First thing, you get into a car accident, you just realized what happened. Safety first, please, everybody. Make sure that make sure that you are okay. Make sure your passengers are okay. Make sure that if the vehicle, God forbid, is on fire, if the vehicle is in the middle of a highway, just make sure that you're safe. Make sure that no one is coming at you. And I can't give you advice on every single scenario out there because you just never know. Anything can happen. But just ensure that you and your occupants are safe. Then the right thing to do, the human thing to do, you don't have to do this, but the decent thing to do is go check on the other person. Make sure the other person is okay. Some people say, well, why should I? They hit me. It's just the right thing to do. It's decent. It really is. So safety first. Your car is now in a safe area. Some people ask, should I move my vehicle? Some people are like, well, I'm in the middle of the highway. Should I move my vehicle? If your car's not movable, sometimes your car is so badly beat up that you just can't move it. Hey, don't even try. Airbags are out. Coolant, the coolant is leaking. Just leave it. Cops are coming. They'll deal with it. They'll call the tow truck. They'll figure it out. But if it's like, your car is movable, if you can leave it there, leave it. But if you're in the middle of the I-10, in the tunnel, in the middle lane, right? What I would say is if you can quickly snap a few photos real quick, and I'm not talking go all the way to the carpool lane and take that wide shot, or just pull out your phone, turn on the recorder, the video, and just get a quick, recording of the scene. And then if you and the other person agree that you want to move the vehicle and it's safe to move the vehicle, go ahead and move it to the side, because last thing you need is somebody not paying attention on their phone coming down the 10 at 70, 80 miles an hour. Boom. That small little rear car accident now just became probably a wrongful death. Because someone ain't making it from a car accident like that. So just be careful. Please be careful. That's all I say. I just mentioned something, your cell phone. This is something, it's a pet peeve of mine. I love all my clients. If any of my clients are watching this, I love you all. Well, why is it a pet peeve of mine? I'm going to tell you what my pet peeve is. My pet peeve is, I didn't take any pictures. We all have cameras. This is not the time of our parents. These are not the generation of our parents where you had to have the big bulky camera. Nobody had a camera, right? Like you don't keep a camera in your car. This thing, the cell phone, this is a computer, it's a camera, it's a video, it's audio recording. This is the best tool in the world. Pull out that camera, snap photos. Turn on the video and just keep it on. I mean, come on, people. You guys all do it. You all do it at weddings and you do it at concerts. You keep it on for Facebook Live. Take a video of the scene of your accident, because look, yes, the police will be coming if you call the police, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But you can be your best investigator. The police, they investigate hundreds, if not thousands, of car accidents a year. It becomes everyday routine. Sometimes they forget things. Sometimes they're in the middle of their car accident investigation and they get a call for something way more important, such as a crime in progress. They need to leave. You are your best investigator. What do I mean by that? Collect pictures, collect video, collect witness information. If there's a witness who says, hey, I saw what happened, man. Are you okay? It's not your fault. Sir, ma'am, please give me your information. Open up a note, send yourself a text message, get their name, get their number, because sometimes they don't want to stick around for the police.
Yeah.
So what happens is, if they don't want to stick around because they got to get to work, they got to get somewhere, you now have their name and number. What happens is, you get your lawyer the next day or the same day. Your lawyer is going to be getting his investigator to call them and get a recorded statement. A statement from them that's so close in time that their recollection is current. They remember it. It's fresh. And they're not being questioned about it 2 years down the line, if now the other side is saying you're at fault for the accident. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then insurance information, driver's license information, you don't have to write that down. Just snap a photo of their insurance card, snap a photo of their driver's license. All great stuff, okay? Call the police. Look, people tell me, oh, I felt bad for the person. I don't want to call the police on them. They told me not to call the police. Look, people, here's what I say. You want it documented? Get the police. Call the police. Sometimes, and I see this in Phoenix, a lot in Phoenix, Phoenix police will take sometimes an hour to get to a scene of a car accident with no serious injuries. They're just busy. They're short-staffed. It happens. Stick around. Get your police report. Have it documented. Trust me, it works wonders. It does help. Because the last thing I want is the insurance adjuster on the other side, for the insurance company, for the person who caused your accident, saying, oh, well, there's not even an accident report here. I've heard that one before. I don't want to have to deal with that. Make it easy. Look, you build your case. Help me help you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Seek medical. You gotta, right, Ahmed? I mean, you gotta do that. It's like, you're your own best investigator. You can't trust the people to investigate for you. You can't trust the police to investigate it for you. You got to do your homework. So, also, seek medical attention if immediately needed. If you're in pain, you need to go to the hospital, go to the hospital. If you need to go by ambulance, go by ambulance. If you need a friend to take you, have a friend take you, but seek medical attention if immediately needed. All right. That is what to do immediately after a car accident. Your car is going to get towed, or if it's drivable, drive it home. Just do your best to get out of the situation. Kind of stay calm, remain focused. You are your own best investigator. That's all I can say to people and remind them, because at that moment, there's not much you can do. What's happened has happened. Just document. All right. Now you're home. Now you're starting to feel the pain. Now you're like, oh my goodness, I don't have a car anymore. Oh man, my life, now everything is just, it's, things are getting hard. I'm now realizing what's going on. And then the inconvenience of not having a car. Ahmed, have you ever had to deal with that inconvenience?
Definitely. Especially, I mean, alhamdulillah, public transportation is decent here. But definitely, if the public transportation is also an issue, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. Public transportation. If maybe if you live in Tempe or Central Phoenix, that light rail. But if you live in Peoria, if you live in Surprise, what light rail are you gonna get on? You're gonna get on the bus, and if you work in Chandler, imagine you live in Surprise and you work in Chandler. The bus, Or not in New York, where you can hop on the subway and get from the A train to the 8 train to the I don't know what train. It doesn't work that way. It's not that easy. It's hard. It's hard. So now you're at home. The inconvenience has just set in, the realization. What do? If you're injured, contact an attorney. People, call me. Call me. I've had clients who have my number saved in their phone. They know I'm an injury attorney. They're in the scene of the accident and they call me. They're like, Zayed, what do I do? And I walk them through. I'm like, hey, relax, calm down, take it easy, breathe, have the police do their thing, cooperate, let them take your information, let them take the insurance information. All right. Let them do their thing. If you're hurting, go get medical attention. Take the night off. Take it easy. Let's meet tomorrow. Let's talk about this. Let's move forward. Do not wait to seek medical attention. Why do I say that? I say that because a lot of people, Ahmed, I see this all the time. I'm going to toughen it out. And we're not talking about like medical attention, like I have a broken arm, my bone is sticking out. I'm going to see what happens. No. But that, please go get medical attention for that, like immediately, like in an ambulance. You probably need it. But, Ahmed, the most common injury is like whiplash, my neck, my back tight, muscle spasms. See that a lot. And some people, I'm going to toughen out. I'm going to take some ibuprofen, take some Advil, Tylenol, whatever. And they got a home remedy of some sort. Here's what I have to say about that. Is that we are, if you remember, I gave you the definition of damages. One of those damages is your pain and suffering, medical expenses. You need evidence of your injury. And evidence of a medical injury are medical records. You gotta see a doctor. Trying to toughen it out for 2 weeks ain't gonna cut it. You're not gonna get damages. You're not gonna get paid for your injury. That's number one. Number two is, let's say after 2 weeks you toughen it out and you're like, I can't stand it anymore. It's not going away. And then you go and get medical attention. Then you go to your family doctor. You complain of it and they send you to physical therapy. They send you for an x-ray. They send you for an MRI. Guess what? The insurance company is now going to make an argument saying that you waited too long. How do we know that you were even injured? Injured people go and seek treatment. They don't wait 2 weeks. So for that strong ammo, that strong uncle who says, I used to walk 10 miles to school. I can toughen out some back pain. No, uncle. Go and get medical treatment because that 5 miles does you no good now. With insurance companies, in a court of law, it does you no good. It hurts your case. So these are things to know.
One of the things that I tell people, not to interrupt, but even in care cases, it's not what happened, it's what you can prove, right? You might be injured from this, but if you can't prove it, you're not going to get the case. So that's 100%. I mean, with any type of discrimination, we always say, paper trail, paper trail, paper trail. Same thing with personal injury, paper trail, paper trail. One of those things is going to the doctor and checking out your injuries. So
that's exactly it. I had a client who was bitten by a dog bite, vicious. Okay. He did have, physical injury, but he had a mental component to it. It really messed him up. Yeah, trauma, definitely. PTSD. That's a really scary incident to happen. Dog biting you viciously, ripping your skin. Yeah. The thing is that he would not go and talk to a counselor. He would not go and just seek, some mental health help. He would not. And that's the thing. Did he suffer? Did he have fearless nights? Did he have PTSD? PTSD is a medical diagnosis. I'm not going to say he had PTSD, but did he have sleepless nights? Did he have insomnia? Was he frightened? Was he scared? Yes. I saw it. I can see it in his eyes. But did it happen? Yes. Can I prove it? I would rather there be a professional with a medical degree or a behavioral sciences or a counselor, someone licensed counselor saying, yes, he suffered PTSD. And I can tell you I saw the following factors according to the DSM-6, whatever book they use, whatever thing that they use to diagnose people. That is how you prove things. You get a professional, an expert to testify to the medical injuries that occur. So it's what you prove. So thank you, Ahmed, for bringing that up, because you're right. It is what you prove, not what happened, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Claims process. If you have insurance, a claim will be filed with your insurance. Even if you're not at fault, a claim should be filed with your insurance. We all have a duty in insurance coverage. When we buy insurance from an insurance company, we have a contract with our insurance company. I can assure you that 99% of our viewers have not reviewed their insurance contract. 99 and probably 90% of our viewers don't even know that there's an insurance contract. But yes, when you buy insurance coverage, there is a contract. You signed that contract. You just did not review that contract. So to come and say, oh, I didn't review my contract, well, that's not a defense. You should know what's in your contract. Then don't be signing it. But the thing is that one of the provisions in your insurance contract is that even if you get any car accident, you should report it to your insurance and let them know. Your insurance company will take a recorded statement. The other insurance company will also start a claim once it's reported to them, and they will take a recorded statement. Those recorded statements are very important. They can be used against you. So watch what you say. Here's what I tell people. If you have a lawyer, don't contact the insurance company. If you're planning on getting a lawyer rather quickly, don't do anything. Don't file a claim. Quickly contact a lawyer, and have your lawyer will tell you whether or not to file your claim yourself and whether or not to give a recorded statement. 99% of my cases, I decline to have my clients giving a recorded statement. Insurance companies will say, well, it's part of our process to get a recorded statement. I'm like, nope. You want to take a recorded statement of my client, I want to take a recorded statement of your driver. Right away, they say, no, we're not going to let you do that. And I say, well, I'm not going to let you do that with mine, because a recorded statement is recorded and it can be used, even if you just mess up on one little thing in the next time you have to give a statement. Once the claim is filed, an investigation will ensue. There's always going to be an investigation by the insurance company. They do two kinds of investigations: on your own insurance and the other party's insurance. A coverage investigation. Coverage is, will they cover this accident? So somebody hits you, rear end accident, fully liability. Liability investigation is them investigating fault. So they do the liability investigation. They say, yes, it's 100% our fault. Now they're investigating for coverage. They want to see whether or not they're even going to cover the accident. And what's the most common instance where they don't cover an accident is if the person who hit you didn't pay their insurance on time. Sometimes people have an insurance card. It's for 6 months, but they're paying their insurance on a month-to-month basis, and they forget to pay their insurance bill. And once you forget to pay your insurance bill, they did not. That's it. Your policy's canceled, and now you're uninsured. So watch out for that. Okay. Any question, Ahmed? What do you think? Anything did I miss anything? Do you think anything our viewers would want to hear about what to do when you're in a car accident and kind of the claims process?
I think the most important thing you said is, take the pictures. The one thing that I think some people do have questions about is the process of contacting an attorney, right? So one thing I would say is, I believe your office does free consultations, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, even in that situation, I know the funny thing is, and you probably relate to this, once people know you're an attorney, they'll call you for whatever, even if you don't practice that. But I remember even in law school, people would be like, yo, I got a car accident. Do you know anything? I'd be like, I'm trying to learn torts. I'm not there yet. But, like Zayed's office does free consultations. It's worthy just to give them a call, kind of give the layout, because like you said, you're someone who at least knows the process, who can be like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Or, maybe this isn't what we specifically do, but, here are some other resources for you. So even though you see a lot of billboards and stuff like that, definitely if there's a free consultation, give it a try. But one other aspect of that too, and you kind of alluded to this, there's a lot of attorneys out there, and not every single one is going to put the amount of time into that type of case. So definitely I think a lot of people may be like, wow, this person charges this person charges this much. One other aspect of how much they're charging is what type of relationship do you have? Is this an attorney that's going to actually be there for me? So for at least one of the things that I wanted to bring up is don't let the barrier of how to contact an attorney stop you, right? That free consult there is to have that consult. So take advantage of it.
And thank you for mentioning that. Yes, that is correct, Ahmed. On car accident cases, it's free consultations. People, and here's the thing, people call me all the time. People call me all the time. They ask me about stuff that I don't even deal with, and that's okay. I always tell people, hey, I would rather you call an attorney than do something wrong. And if it's something I can just point you in the right direction on the phone, I will. If it's something that's outside of my scope of practice, I will at least give you a referral to an attorney I trust. Someone who is going to be honest with you, direct with you, and point you in the right direction. So I always tell people, give me a call. And at the end of this, right before I finish, I'm actually going to talk about how getting an attorney for a car accident costs absolutely no money up front. So we'll talk about that in just a second.
Alrighty.
This part right here, Ahmed, if you could, whenever send this to people, if they don't have time to watch this whole thing,
this is the part.
If they can fast forward to this is the most important part.
Alrighty.
What insurance do you have? You should know what kind of coverage you have before you get into a car accident. Today, if you're watching this, go pull up your insurance app. Open your insurance portal on the computer. If you have the app on the phone, open it on your phone. You don't know how to do that? You bought it from some office? Go to that office and ask them, what insurance do I have? If you bought it over the phone, call them on the phone and say, what insurance coverage do I have? This is the most important part. This is something that people need to know, especially drivers, people in this country, anybody. If you don't know what insurance coverage you have, with all due respect, I don't know what you want to say. With all due respect, you're fooling yourself. You're really fooling yourself. And I'm not saying that you need to buy all the insurance coverage. As long as you know what you're buying and you're okay with it, hey, all good with me. But to say, I don't know what I have, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You really are. So this is the most important part. Here we go. Insurance companies. We all know them. We've all seen them. Geico, State Farm, Allstate. Here's what I'm going to tell you. They are all in it for money. They're all not the best people out there. I have to keep this rated PG, and I need to know that this is going out public, so I never want this used against me. But if you ever call me and you want to hear my opinion on insurance companies, I'll give it to you. Insurance companies. No, in all seriousness, insurance companies they act like they're your friend. And look, they're there to help you. They're there to provide you a service. Okay, I drive. I have insurance. I'm actually insured by State Farm. Okay, that's my insurance company. That's who I'm insured by. I'm not making a pitch for State Farm. But here's what I say: whatever insurance company you do have, just know this: they are in it to pay. They want as much money as they can get from you. And when you finally do need them, they want to pay as little amount of money as possible back to you, because they're in the business of making money. They're not in the business of helping people. They're in the business. They're for-profit companies. So for them, the bottom line, the number, the dinero is what matters. So just always keep that in the back of your mind. So that whole thing nationwide is on your side. No, they're not.
Yeah.
I had to say that. All right. Types of coverage. Your car, the coverage on your car. There is, if you look, first things first is it's a page called a declaration page. Everybody should know that word, declaration page. Declaration page is a 1 or 2 page document made by your insurance company after you create a policy, and it tells you what kind of coverages you have. It lists every single coverage that you have. So collision coverage. Collision coverage is insurance on your vehicle. It is, if you get into a car accident, they will repair your vehicle, or if the vehicle is not repairable, they will pay you actual cash value for the vehicle in the event that damage to the vehicle is from a collision. Okay? That's what collision coverage is. Usually you have a deductible, 500, 1,000, depending on what you can afford. So if you get into a car accident, whether it's your fault or not, and you want them to fix your vehicle, what happens is let's say it costs $5,000 to repair your vehicle. You have a $500 deductible. You are responsible for the $500. They will pay $4,500 for the $5,000 worth of repairs. A lot of people tell me this, Ahmed. It's funny. It's crazy. They tell me this all the time. I'm a good driver. I don't need collision coverage. Alhamdulillah. Good for you. I hope you never cause an accident. But what about when that person hits you and they don't have insurance? Uh-oh. That happens a lot, actually. Here in Arizona, we see that a lot. So many people don't have insurance. So what if somebody decides, they're drunk, they don't care about life anymore. They decide, I don't want to pay my insurance, and they hit you. It's an accident, but they hit you. Yeah, sure, they're going to go to jail, sure, whatever. But now you're looking at your car, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 car. This huge investment in your life, gone. All the airbags are out. The engine is done. It's just a piece of metal now, scrap. What are you going to do? This is why I tell people, if you can afford collision coverage, just get collision coverage. But I know it's expensive. And I always say to people, it's what you can afford. But if you can get it, because don't cheapen out on insurance, because trust me, there's going to be a day where it happens and you're like, I wish I had it. And you don't want to be in that situation. Comprehensive coverage, that's another type of coverage for your car. It always goes hand in hand with collision coverage. Essentially, it's the same thing as collision coverage, but your insurance company covers your vehicle in the event that there's damage to your vehicle. That's not the result of a collision. So a tree falls on it. It's parked and a tree falls on it. It's stolen. It's vandalized. So that's all damage that occurs. It's damage, but it's not from a collision. That's what that is. And then glass coverage. A lot of insurance companies provide glass coverage where they'll actually replace or repair your windshield. I always tell people, if you're getting collision coverage already, like coverage on your vehicle, see how much it is for glass coverage because it's like an extra $5 a month. And trust me on this, I end up, like me personally, I drive a lot. I drive maybe 20, 25,000 miles a year, if not more. Wow. And just driving on Arizona freeways, I always get rock chips, and a rock chip will then expand. Always. Right, always. And then it expands into a big crack, and I probably need a windshield once a year. And alhamdulillah, I have glass coverage. I just call them up and I'm like, hey, my glass is cracked, and they come out, they put a new windshield on it. And for anybody who thinks that a windshield is cheap, actually, a windshield
it's not. I just had to repair mine.
Did you?
At the beginning of the year, and alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, I have a newer car that has like the lane assist or whatever. So my older car, it was, super cheap, just a quick thing. But they're like, hey, no, we got to do this whole lane assist stuff. And it was a lot more. And I was kind of blindsided. I was like, can I just have to do my own lane assist? But yeah, the glass on the newer cars is definitely up there.
Did you not have glass coverage?
I don't remember the exact how much it did, but I just remember that they were like, your car's special. They're like, your car's special.
Yeah, these days now, a lot of the cars have those sensors and stuff, the newer cars. So sure, you replace the glass, but then they have to look at calibration and an alignment.
Exactly.
And that's like another $500-600.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay. That is coverage on your car. Liability. You need coverage in the event that you cause an accident. Bodily injury. You'll see, and I'm going to show you some declarations pages, some examples right now. Bodily injury, if you see that line item on your declaration page, it is insurance. Your insurance company is going to pay for the medical expenses and damages, pain and suffering, disfigurement, to a person who's injured as a result of your negligence, if you're at fault. That's bodily injury. And then property damage, this one right here, your insurance company is going to fix another person's vehicle or pay the person for their vehicle in the event of you being at fault. Now, In Arizona, in order to drive legally on the street, you don't need coverage on your car. You don't need this collision coverage, comprehensive coverage, and glass coverage. You can drive without it. But you do need bodily injury and property damage. Those are a minimum. And at a minimum, you need, they just upped it actually in July of last year. It used to be $15,000 of bodily injury per person, $30,000 per accident. It is now $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident. So what that means is, God forbid, you cause an accident, you hurt somebody. That person's damages, their case, is worth $10,000. Your insurance company is going to pay them $10,000. Your insurance company is only going to cover you up to $25,000. So God forbid, you cause an accident. That person, it's a really bad accident. That person has medical bills of $100,000. Unfortunately, your insurance company is only going to cover $25,000. That is it. $50,000 per accident. That means if there's more than one person in the vehicle, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, whatever it is, they will cover. What if it's multi-vehicle? Your insurance company will cover up to $50,000 for the whole accident with no single person getting more than $25,000. So if it's a serious accident and multiple people have hundreds of $1,000s worth of bills, your insurance company is only going to cover you up to $50,000. Same with property damage. You rear-end a vehicle, cost of the repairs are $10,000. Your insurance company will cover you up to $15,000. You total a Ferrari, good luck. Your insurance is only going to cover you up to $15,000. Let's hope the guy who drives a Ferrari has full coverage on that car. Because if they don't, man. But here's what I tell people. People always ask me, how much insurance should I be purchasing? Because you can actually buy levels of insurance. The minimum is $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident. The next level up is $50,000 per person, $100,000 per accident. The next level up above that is $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. The next level up, depending on the insurance company, every insurance company is a little different, $250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident. And then you can even go higher, $1 million. Here's what I tell people. You purchase insurance that you can afford, number one. And number two, you purchase insurance depending on your wealth. Because if someone hits my client, they cause an accident, $100,000 worth of injuries to my client. The person who caused the accident is unemployed, doesn't own any property, doesn't really have much. They're barely making it, really. But they're looking for a job. They're trying their hardest, right? And they only have $25,000 worth of coverage. What's going to happen is I advise my client, like, look, we can sue the person. We can get a judgment from the court for $100,000. Their insurance company is going to give you $25,000, but that other $75,000, good luck trying to collect it. It's really hard to collect from somebody who has nothing. But let's say you're the neurosurgeon. Let's go back to the neurosurgeon. You got 3 homes, 15 cars, real estate investments, properties, a beach house in Cancun. I swear to God, you caused an accident, you hurt my client, and you only have $25,000 of coverage because you're cheap. Trust me, if it's not me, it's another lawyer. We're coming after your assets. We will, because you have it. So you purchase insurance depending on your wealth, depending on what your assets are, depending on your risk. You want to protect yourself more? You buy more insurance. That's how it is. I always tell people, if you're a professional, you're making decent money, you're making 6 figures. If you can afford to buy $250,000 worth of coverage, buy it. Because the next level up is $1 million umbrella policy. And once you're at $250,000 of coverage, then you qualify to buy an umbrella $1 million. Ahmed, buying insurance up to $250,000, it's expensive. It's not the cheapest, okay? It's pretty expensive. It can really be costly every month. But then once you're now paying that, guess how much it costs to buy an umbrella? $1 million. $500
Not
a
that
year.
much. Okay.
$500 a year.
For that. Wow. 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 Yeah.
Now, theoretically, you got like $1.25 million of coverage. God forbid. Because look, people say, I'm a great driver. I'm a great driver. But we also believe that things can happen. Unfortunate events can occur at any time.
Yeah.
They just occur. What's written for you is written that day.
Yeah.
And you can be the best driver in the world, but you just happen to have your child in the back and your child says, Baba, Mama, whatever it is. Yes, you look back, you're crossing a red light now. And you hurt somebody severely. So it can happen to anybody. It really can. And that's what I stress to people.
I'm right there with you. I mean, especially on the I-10, in the morning time, there's always going to be an accident. But I saw one time like a flat tire explode, and it's just the person was like, that person actually did a pretty good job. But I always tell myself, I don't know what I would do, in a flat tire type situation. So yeah, you never know what would happen. So
you just never know, man. You never do.
Yeah.
Full coverage. A lot of people come to me and I ask them, what kind of insurance coverage do you have? They say, I have full coverage. When you tell your insurance agent, or your insurance agent says you have full coverage, here's what it means. It does not cover you for the next three things I'm going to be talking about. But full coverage means that you have coverage on your car and you have coverage in the event that you injure somebody and hurt their vehicle. That's it. That's all it is. Full coverage means they're going to fix your car for you. Always check your declaration page. Why? It's very important to ask what you have because of the next slide. Underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage. Ahmed, if there's one thing that the people can do, our viewers can do, and I'm telling you, they can even skip what I just said. This is the most important thing. I know everything's so important, but this is so critical. If you are injured in a car accident, you have $100,000 of medical bills. That person who caused the accident has no assets. They're barely making it. They're barely trying to find a job. And they only have $25,000 of coverage. You collect the $25,000, great. But now you're on the hook you got another $75,000 worth of bills, right? What do? You protect yourself. You protect yourself with underinsured motorist coverage. Underinsured motorist coverage is coverage that you get on your own policy, and it covers you for your bodily injury, for your injury in the event that someone else is at fault and they do not have sufficient coverage of their own. This is one of the best coverages you can get. And no joke, underinsured coverage and uninsured coverage, $25 a month extra.
Wow.
It is so cheap. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing, man. It's nothing. So don't rely on others. I'm the best driver in the world, blah, blah, blah. Back to that. Great. Yeah. But what if the guy who hit you or the gal who hit you have a minimum policy? They don't have good insurance. You need to cover yourself. And you cover yourself by having underinsured coverage, number one, and uninsured coverage and uninsured. Uninsured coverage is your insurance company steps into the role of the person who caused the accident. So it covers you for your medical bills, your bodily injury. If you're in an accident and the other person's at fault and they are uninsured, no insurance. Because we see that all the time. Someone causes an accident, you're now injured, $100,000 in medical bills. Well, they have no insurance. What are you going to do? Are you going to go after their assets? They have nothing. You're going to get nothing. Have uninsured. Protect yourself. And then medical expense coverage. Medical expense coverage. It's actually a little expensive, this one. It depends if people can afford it or not. If you had to choose between underinsured, so underinsured and uninsured come as a package usually. That's why I keep saying underinsured and uninsured. Mm-hmm. But if you had to pick between these two coverages and or medical expenses, buy underinsured and uninsured first. Then if you can afford it, if it's in the budget, get medical expenses. Medical expenses coverage, it covers you for medical expenses, whether you're at fault or not at fault. It covers you and your passenger's medical expenses up to the limits, up to the certain amount that you purchased. So that's what that does. Declarations pages. I want to show you some declarations pages really quickly, because this is what you're going to ask your insurance agent, your insurance company. If you log into Progressive's portal, if you have Progressive, if you have Geico, if you have State Farm, log into the
Definitely
portal.
check in after this conversation. Definitely going to mine.
Yeah, please do. Okay,
Sure.
I'm going to quickly stop my sharing and pull up some deck pages real quick, okay?
Sure.
All right.
Definitely, yeah. No, I'm definitely having to check. I'm taking my own notes here.
All right. Here's the first declaration page. Can you see it?
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
All right. This is a declaration page from Progressive. As you can tell, can you see my mouse or no?
Yes, I do. Yes. Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm Progressive.
This is from Progressive. I have redacted client information. Look at this. Look at this one. Liability to others. This is back before this is from before, prior to July 2020. This is,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
this is on the old stuff. This person had injury liability. So this is bodily injury liability of $15,000 per person, $30,000 per accident. So that means if this person caused an accident, their insurance would only cover the other person's injury up to $15,000, no more than $30,000 per accident. And they would cover the person's car damage up to $10,000. This person decided that's all they have. They had a minimum basic policy. They did not have any, you don't see collision, you don't see comprehensive. So their vehicle's not covered, this person. So if they cause an accident or they're in an accident with someone who's uninsured, their car is not going to get fixed. And let's say they got into an accident, someone hit them and they don't have insurance and they're injured. They rejected uninsured and underinsured. Specifically says it, they rejected it. Uh-oh. So look to see what you have. All right, that's number one. I'll show you another one real quick. Geico. This is a Geico deck page. Why do I want to show people Geico? Because Geico is one of those insurance companies that you can go online and you purchase it yourself and you select your own coverages if you have Geico. That is not safe. If you have the opportunity to talk to an insurance specialist, an agent on the phone, please do. Please do not make your own decisions on your own insurance coverage unless you are well educated on this. I'm going to give you this prime example of what this person did. This person was covered by Geico. They had bodily injury liability of $100,000, $300,000. That means if they caused an accident, they would be covered up to $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. That's a pretty good policy, right, Ahmed? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no.
This is pretty standard. This is like really, this is good. This is a good policy. If they damage somebody's vehicle, their insurance would cover up to $100,000 worth of car damage. That's pretty good. I'm going to skip these two lines real quick. This person had collision and comprehensive. That means if they got into a car accident, their car would be fixed up to $1,000 deductible. So if the cost of the repairs to their own car was $5,000, their insurance would pay $4,000 and they'd have to pay the other $1,000. That's great. So up to now, you would agree this is full coverage, right?
Yeah.
Great. They also have rental reimbursement. So if their car is disabled, they need a rental car, they're covered up to $1,500 worth of rental car. They even have emergency road service. Look at that. That's great. And remember what I said, uninsured and underinsured, right? The two important things that go hand in hand, right? Well, look at what this person did. And this is because of Geico. Because on Geico, you can pick your own stuff. They decided to buy uninsured coverage. That means if someone hit them and did not have insurance, it would cover them up to $100,000, $300,000 per accident. They decided to reject underinsured coverage. This decision right here, this rejection of underinsured coverage, that would have cost them another $15 per month. Let me tell you the story of this client. This client was in a serious car accident. Somebody rear-ended them at a high rate of speed. The person who rear-ended them had insurance. They only had $15,000 of coverage. My client's injuries were, the damages, the case value was about 75 grand. Did their insurance step in, Ahmed? Do you think they stepped in?
No.
Because they rejected underinsured coverage. Their insurance was like, well, yeah, you have uninsured. If the guy was uninsured,
Yeah.
sure, we would have
You're
stepped
better
in.
luck.
But you're only getting the $15,000 from the other guy's insurance, and you don't have underinsured.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
It's horrible. This was a decision. They bought it, and I was asking them, well, what happened when they bought it? They bought it online, and they just rejected this, thinking
Like you just
they
said,
didn't
yeah.
know. They did not know. All right, I have one more deck page to show.
Definitely now I'm going to check my declaration page for sure.
This is why I said I think this is the most important part of this presentation. I really do.
Yeah.
People need to know their coverages, Ahmed. They really do. Okay, this person, they got liability. This is a State Farm declaration page. They have, this is one of the old ones before July of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Their insurance would cover, if they cause an accident, up to $15,000 per person, $30,000 per accident, and injuries to other people. Property damage, up to $25,000. They have that. That's great. They have comprehensive, which means if their car is damaged as a result of like stolen, vandalized, they'll cover it. Collision, they'll cover their car. They'll, if they're in an accident, or if it's their fault or not their fault. And look, this person has uninsured coverage and underinsured coverage. Ahmed, this is a policy from March to September. This is a 6-month policy. Look how much uninsured and underinsured cost this person in 6 months.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a good deal.
$18 over the course of 6 months. That's $3 a day. Cheaper than my venti dark roast at Starbucks.
Yeah. For that peace of
It's
mind.
nothing. It's nothing. $3 a month. Insane, right? All right. Close that. Go back to our. So this is what I want people to do. I want people to. Can you see my PowerPoint now?
Yes, back on the declaration page.
Great. I stress the declaration page so much. I stress people having knowledge. If there's one thing that people should know about insurance law is, you want to talk about knowing your rights? Yeah. Know your rights by knowing what you're purchasing from your insurance company, people. Yeah. That is one thing I would stress. And this is something that I tell people all the time. I do it for family. I do it for people who call me. I do it for anybody. If you're just unsure of what coverages you have, get your declaration page. This is no cost. I'm doing this just as a courtesy because I want people to be informed. That's it. It's just one of the things that once I learned this, once I had this knowledge, I feel a duty to pass this to everybody that I encounter. Pull your declaration page. Let me see it. Let me tell you what you got. Did you know that you have this, that you did not have this? Did you know that for only $20, you could have this extra layer of protection? Mm-hmm. And because I know, and I've seen, Ahmed, the devastation a car accident can cause to people's lives. I can see what proper insurance coverage can do for people. It really, really, really can have you're in such a bad situation after a car accident, especially after traumatic injuries. Mm-hmm. And you know what? My job is to make the best out of the worst situation. And I hate giving people the bad news of like, if only you purchased this, if only your agent taught you this. And look, alhamdulillah, I have a great insurance agent who sits with me and talks to me about my insurance coverages, even though I know my insurance coverages. I already know what I want. I know what it all covers. But I hear stories about insurance agents just saying, you don't need this here, just sign this, get you in, get you out. That they're doing you a disservice. So, because they're doing a disservice, I want to do a service to people. Contact your insurance agent. Contact your insurance company. Go into your portal, whatever it is. Get your declaration page. It's called a declaration page. Get it. Get it in PDF format. Send it to me. That's my email address. Write it down. Send it to me. And then just put your name and give me a call, or write your phone number. Give me a date. I'll call you. Or give me a call. We'll pull it up. I'll pull it up and I'll tell you exactly what you have. I'm not going to tell you what to purchase, but I'm just going to tell you what you do have and what your options are and what you should do. What maybe you have something that you didn't know. Maybe your insurance agent is awesome and you have stuff that you didn't even know existed. Or maybe you thought you had something and you didn't have it. The more insurance, the better, always.
This is great. I mean, thank you so much. That's definitely a great service, especially like you said, reaching out. You're not going to find that at other law firms or other places like that. So it's that taking care of the community that is definitely awesome. And for those who maybe are like don't have a pen or paper, your information will definitely be in the video description as well. So I'll be there as well.
And my phone number is really easy to remember: 602Z-Lawyer.
Can't beat that.
Can't beat that. 602Z-Lawyer. You look that up online, you'll find me. Call that, pound it in, you'll get our number. So easy to remember. No one should have an excuse not to call. Really, really quickly, one slide about this. A lot of people always ask me, if I file a claim, will my insurance go up? No, your insurance will not go up, except in the event that you are at fault in the accident. There is a statute here in Arizona. I know it's like the first statute I talk about, but there is an actual statute in Arizona, Arizona Revised Statute 2020-263. A insurance company cannot increase your insurance premium as a result of an accident, keyword, not caused or significantly contributed to by the actions of the insured. So as long as you don't cause it or it's not significantly contributed by you, your insurance should not go up. That is the law in Arizona. All right. Cost of a personal injury lawyer. It costs you nothing. You see it all the time. You pay nothing up front. We only get paid when you get paid. Well, that is true. And I know they all advertise it, and I'm no different. All right. So the only difference with me is you get my motto. And I'm going to tell you what my motto is in my firm. And this is something I truly believe in. I live by it. You get aggressive, compassionate representation in my office. We are aggressive at what we do, but we're not aggressive towards our clients. Aggressive towards the people we need to be aggressive at too. The insurance companies, the person who caused you the accident, the people who we need to seek your justice from. Compassionate. Our compassion is towards you because my job is here to help you. That's what I want to do. So we work on a contingency fee. That means if we recover something for you, we take a percentage of that. And if you call my office, we can talk about that more. And that's a wrap. So aggressive, compassionate representation. That's what we're all about. This is my website, my email. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, The Z Lawyer. My phone number, 602Z-Lawyer. And that's my spiel.
I'll tell you what, there's no excuse, definitely after that last slide, that if you're in a wreck, after you take all the proper steps, call an attorney, call Zayed, and that free consultation, and you'll tell them, you have a case, you don't have a case, this is not this type of case. And as we said, know your rights, knowledge is power. And sometimes in a car accident, you might be like, if I don't think it happened, nothing happened, I can wish it away. And that's not the case. You want the information as soon as possible. And I think that consultation is the key for a lot of stuff. Just at least know where the level field, know where you're playing. Exactly. And I appreciate that. Not only do you provided this, but especially the declaration page, because that's, once again, you're paying all this. You might think you have this, you might think you have that. And in reality, it was that one person, uninsured versus underinsured. And so definitely in our community where sometimes English might not be the main language spoken, you want to make sure you're not rushing into something and get the wrong contract. So thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, we see that a lot in our community. Like you said, Ahmed, it is a free consultation. Just give us a call. It doesn't hurt. It's just a phone call. I'm there. I'm ready to help. We're ready to go over stuff. It costs people nothing. And we speak Arabic, نتكلم عربي, hablamos español, and English. So we got
all of it covered.
We try.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zayed. And thank you all. Like I said in the description, Zayed's information will be there. But we'll also tag you on Facebook and Instagram. So when you guys see this, reach out to Zayed, check out that declaration page. Thank you so much to Zayed, and for those for watching. And if you need to contact CAIR-Arizona because of you're discriminated, our information will be there as well. Thank you so much and see you soon. Masalama.